Hello again. Is the mic on? Yeah, now is the mic on. So I'm going to move a little bit aside so I can keep you in check. Oh yeah, great, even better. So we have another fancy buzzword prepared for you, and that's digital transformation. I think we hear it probably 20 times a day, but on the other side, I feel it's very interesting to understand what it means for each and every one, because everybody has a different definition or sense of what it could be, or why it's necessary, or why it's happening. So Christian was so kind already to introduce quickly the panelists, and I would like to kick off the panel today about digital transformation simply with a question to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves, explain what they do, at which company, and what digital transformation in those terms for them means to start off.
Hi, I'm Jason. I'm the CTO at Devanda, which is Europe's largest marketplace for handmade products. So we have 6 million products listed in our extensive marketplace. We've been around for the last 11 years now. And what digital transformation is for us actually is we are and we always have been a digital business. And we started as an online product, and we're a marketplace to connect buyers and sellers. And digital transformation for us is actually a continual process of ensuring that we're constantly building to user intent. So it's what was talked about earlier, kind of like lean process, lean UX, lean and agile development, and constant iteration.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. My name is Rob Ginda. I work for the 21 Sports Group and Planet Sports. And that's comprised of actually 3 different groups. And we have 21 Run, we have Planet Sports, and we have Vaula, which is also a marketplace as well, which we were kind of hitting on before. I am the head of online shops for IT web development and product owner as well, a lead product owner. The 21 Sports Group has been around in kind of different facets because we're comprised of 3 different companies. We have a longer range of time that we've been around. We are online as well as offline. So we have physical stores as well as online shops as well to maintain. And it's always a challenge, I think, in that sense, to get those things going together. And digital transformation on that side, for me, is very important to establish visibility, not just visibility for IT, but visibility outside of in other departments. So they can have visibility, so we can check, so we can understand what the customer is doing, why they're doing it, to be able to spot issues before our customers actually do, and to be able to solve those things in real time, and to be able to make those changes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Jesko?
Hi, my name is Jesko. I'm senior specialist with Immobilien Scout, and Immobilien Scout is one of the older companies successful in the Web 2.0 phase. So we're market leader when it comes to searching for properties in Germany. We're a well-known brand. And as part of the Scout Group, we're also associated to AutoScout, another well-known brand from the Scout Group. Yeah, and for us, digital transformation, it's in most cases moving business over to new things like cloud, mobile, taking the user not for granted as someone who just has to use our service because we're market leader. It's more facing, seeing what the customer needs, seeing the speed of our application, the availability of the application, all these things.
Okay, thank you. Rob, I just said that you feel comfortable. Just they asked to move a little bit ahead, but you don't have to tilt. So you don't. You can sit. Just like.
I just wanted to get out of his way.
Yeah. So no. I didn't mean so. So you can talk also to each other. Sorry for that. Okay. Thanks, Matthias.
Yes. Good afternoon. Matthias Schmidt. I'm head of development for DFL Digital Sports, which is a 100% subsidiary of the DFL in Frankfurt. You might know our brand, which is the Bundesliga, German Soccer League. Digital transformation for us for me is really a topic which has been touched today by Lee just before us, is the speed really of our industry, which is, I think, just picking up pace. It's not slowing down. And as the DFL Digital Sports, we are in quite a unique spot inside the DFL group. I mean, if you look at our mother company, the DFL, one could say they have a release every 4 years, which is the license that we're selling. And well, that doesn't really work in the industry we're all in. Who would have thought of Snapchat 4 years ago? So the cycles in which we are planning are way slower. Currently, we're releasing software every week, for example, and I think this will even pick up more pace in the future.
Okay. Thanks for that, Matthias. Maybe staying with you. I mean, we have other customers like MLBAM and see other sporting organizations, let's call it that way, to not limit it just to leagues and clubs, but to the whole industry. That there's a big push apparently going on. And you're one of our, let's say, newer clients. So, like, how's New Relic supporting you with your strategy, and why did you decided to invest into New Relic?
Yeah, well, as I just said, we are releasing more and more often our software, and we have to have a look, and we want to have a look at quality. I think this goes for the whole company. It's also true for our editorial team, but me from the technology department, that means we want to constantly deploy software. So we're currently building a newer infrastructure which is based on microservices, and their continuous deployment is built in our processes. So it will not be weekly. It will be as often as we can and as little changes as possible, which we then will deploy. And yeah, we have to have a constant look at our quality, and New Relic really helps us. So we're one of those customers where you showed before the full stack, which we're looking at. So we're using the server module, we're using APM, we're using the browser module, some insights dashboard that we use, and it really helps us to quickly see if somewhere there's an error or there's a thing we should have a deeper look at.
Okay. Maybe to direct that question to the other panelists. I mean, you all have different experiences with New Relic. Like what is New Relic doing for your company, to get a bit flavor, like in which extent you're using us?
Yeah, so I've been a long-term customer of New Relic, actually. So
yeah, I remember you've been literally here from the first day, or?
Basically, yeah. So New Relic was also originally born, I guess, from the whole Ruby movement as well. So I've been working in Ruby for a very long time now, and so then was an early adopter in New Relic, and have really watched the progression of the products actually in the last few years. So still for us a big use case is the whole APM side of stuff and the browser insights, but the newer products are actually also quite interesting actually, and we're starting to look into them now.
Okay.
So we've had different use cases in different businesses. And at Devanda, we've just really started to kind of gain adoption across the company on this.
Okay, and I mean, that's kind of like the technical description. If you would now summarize it, like why is it beneficial to Devanda? I mean, I understand obviously from a technical perspective to instrument everything is useful, but like what are you taking out of it?
So I think one of the key things, and one of the transitions that's happening now in Europe, which was also talked about earlier, but has really happened a lot more in the US and a lot quicker, is this whole transition to an engineering-driven culture, and engineering really being at the core and at the forefront of how organizations are run and will be run in the future. And what engineering means really is not just coding something, throwing over the fence, and then being past new business requirements, but is actually fundamentally understanding what the key drivers in your business are, and how you can drive those forward through proper engineering. And a big part of this is understanding, and being able to produce high quality performant code that actually matches what your users are expecting. And for us, New Relic is a big part of that. So New Relic allows you to see all the way from a very detailed kind of stack trace level of what's going on, all the way up to looking at the bigger picture, looking at your conversion, looking at your customer journeys, looking at having a really high level view on how the business is actually performing, and actually helping also bring this kind of true engineering culture into the business.
I like what you're saying. I think this discussion around engineering versus business focus, I think these often resonates, and then the discussion when there's another crazy tech startup coming from the US and everybody in Europe is wondering what's that? How are they going to make money? And I don't know, what's your take from the rest of the panelists? How engineering focused or how business focused would you describe your current organizations? Is that also the mindset shift that is happening with a digital transformation concept?
Yeah, I would say in our case, at least at Planet Sports, we definitely have seen this kind of shift, not only in how we use New Relic as an application to identify problems and issues, but also how we deal with other departments and bring business actually to the end user, kind of like what he was saying. So, we found it really, really important that we weren't just saying, oh, this has a really high business value, we can totally do this, and then we give our man days and it's 300 man days, and they go, oh, well, those two things really don't work out. And we could say, let's start small. Let's see if we can test this, run it, put in New Relic inside of it as well, so we can actually see these things as we progress. Mm-hmm. And that way, when we get to our releases, we're really confident that it's going to have the impact that they intended to have in the first place.
Okay, nice. I mean, Jesko, maybe how's it from your? I know you are a very technical person, so I believe you couldn't agree more on being engineering focused. But how is it at Scout? As you just say, you were one of the early kids.
Yeah, as we started the company and monitored the users in the browser and the back-end usage before New Relic was even founded, it's so that we realized later with the growing mobile business and with the shift of now nearly 50% of our users to mobile devices that we lose monitoring for them. So, and as we put the experience of the users with the applications on devices, it's really important for us, and it was hard to actually tell how the experience on the devices is. We could only assume, and as you learn always in our business, never assume, measure. So we thought, okay, we go with New Relic because you're, from my perspective, one of the best tools just to have mobile monitoring enabled. And I have to say we're happy with what we currently have, because now we know how the application feels on a device. We can dive down to specific devices, which is actually essential if you develop on Android, as you have so many different devices and you have failures with one vendor and not the other one. So I think that's the real payoff with New Relic.
So if I may, how to say, summarize it, I mean, this transparency on one hand enables you to focus on the engineering.
It enables us to focus on the engineering, and as we want to put in more features into the app, we have to secure that all these other features we have are really working out from a technical perspective. We measure the KPIs from the business perspective, but that's a different matter. That something is used does not mean that there's a joy in using that, and that's the value we currently measure using.
So, but then it's actually helping you also to cross the bridge to the business.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I mean, speaking of mobile, I think obviously there's been already now for a couple of years a big surge in mobile on the one side, but on the other side, in the recent years, people are starting to debate, okay, is mobile the right strategy? Do we need an app? Do we need a dynamic application? I don't know, maybe asking the direction towards Matthias, because I believe you have a broad variety of content that you want to bring to your audience, whether it's video, whether it's pictures, whether it's just plain text. How do you think about different channels and then the user experience impacting that?
Yeah, very interesting question. There is a lot of content that we produce in-house. It's articles, it's images, it's videos. It's also factual data like the Bundesliga table, like the fixtures, and so on. And we're trying to build the groundwork for services that might come up in the future. I mentioned Snapchat before. You could imagine other services that might become popular in the future. It might not necessarily be browser-based. It might not be an app. Maybe it's Alexa or other bots or whatever. And currently we are trying to create that groundwork, cloud-based, as I said, microservice-based, to really be prepared for the future of whatever is coming up. And I mean, we are already seeing, or we have seen, I think we all have, the shift from really the browser, the desktop browser, to mobile apps, mobile web. And currently the mantra is mobile first. Maybe at some day it's mobile only. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Does mobile first mean for you mobile apps, or does it mean simply whatever works on a mobile?
Well, both. So if we're looking at designs for new web pages, landing pages that we're doing, yes, it's mobile first. So if you're creating responsive websites, the first design that we look at is the smaller one. You start with the small one, and the bigger the tablet version or the desktop version is easier to create, but you have to start with a mobile version. Yeah.
I mean, how does that relate to the other businesses of the panelists? Like, how do you think about those different challenges? Is mobile first also the one thing, or do you still experience like, yeah, actually mobile is important, but we have still some sort of like a focus group that is still stuck on whatever channel else? I don't know, any thoughts?
Yeah. You want to go? We actually noticed that specifically as in the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen the rise go from whatever 38% to 46% to well over 50%. In the e-commerce world, you have these people who are always on their mobile phones. You have to develop for this first, and installing this into the other teams that are in your organization as well is also paramount, because you'll come through designers and other people and on the marketing, and they're maybe developing this way first because they think that it's desktop. But you have to give them this idea and show them this data and say, listen, it's here. Here's where it is. Please react here first, and then give us everything else that you need. That way we can develop lean, we can develop fast, and we can make movement in the market as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And for us, it's a very similar story to everyone else. The only slight difference, I guess, is in terms of so the creators, the sellers that we have on board. Mm-hmm. The use case for them is still slightly more desktop oriented.
Yeah,
due to the
example, yeah. Probably it's easier because they're doing it on a professional level and not just quickly browsing through it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, but overall on the buyer side, it's absolutely the move towards mobile. Mm.
I mean, like this shift, or kind of like this user-centric perspective that you all seem to have, and the technologies that you're consuming on the front end. I mean, do they get more complex? Does it get more difficult, to really understand what the front end actually implies on your business? Because when you purely talk about APM, you always look a little bit about the back end, but talking about single-page apps and mobile apps, there's more logic coming into the front end. How does that influence your ability to see through? Whoever wants to pick it up. I mean, it's interesting to hear it from all of you.
Yeah.
Actually, as I'm a mobile developer, it's so that it depends on what you put your emphasis of your company in, because normally the user is your most valuable asset you have, and to give them the best experience in the world is that what you should focus on, because if you lose the user, your business could be finished. So I think most of the things we're doing depends on how we see that. And for us, it's that we measured the back end all the time and learned that now with emphasis on user, on the experience of the user, we need to measure all these things. Browser, mobile application, that's essential for and critical for the business.
Mm. Yeah, any additional thoughts?
SPA currently for us is not a big thing, to be honest. I think we're going to use single-page apps where it makes sense. I mean, the classic website, if you look at Bundesliga/news, news don't change very much once they're written.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get as much speed as possible in just creating those HTML snippets and cache them in our CDN, and that's it. In other cases, so we're currently working on a new smaller section that we're relaunching. This will probably be SPA-based because parameters in the URL are changing, and we want to try to have a very static frame, which then pulls in dynamic data.
Yeah.
But I think mostly we'll stick with the page we have, which is CMS-based, static HTML, which is quite fast.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how's that with you guys from an e-commerce perspective? Is SPA a topic for you? Like, do you like to add that complexity into the front end because it gives you more on user experience?
For sure. I think it also depends on the use case as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on kind of what problem you're trying to solve actually. So for us, we are starting to look at that in certain areas of our application, through certain flows, but it's not the use case across the whole board yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything from your side, Rob? No?
All right for now.
No,
I can reiterate obviously what he says, but it kind of goes around the same flexibility. Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really comes down to monitoring our responsive pages and things like that we have. We don't have mobile apps.
Yeah.
We chose for specific reasons to go away from maybe in that sense at that time with those, and so then we focused more on the really lean, going up front with this mobile first thinking technology, but being able to trace it all the way through.
Yeah.
So not just the back end using APM, but really virtualizing and using insight dashboards and how to get these things then together.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
That's a good point. I mean, I know we spoke before the panel, and you mentioned a nice example. So maybe like to put it into the context of the question, what is the most exciting you've produced maybe like for your company recently with whatever insights, APM?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go with where we started out.
Yeah.
It really was like when we first started, it was really just to try and monitor really from the developer side on what our applications were doing. Maybe there was a cron job that was running too long, or there was an indexer that we really needed to sort out. And so we put the custom, the custom events inside of it. We could see it in our dashboards. We could look through there. We could really dissect everything.
Yeah.
And then we started to realize that this was not just helpful for us. This was helpful for us dealing with other departments. So we could actually use this in a way and create these insights dashboards to actually have real-time responses to immediate issues that we were seeing on the website. And the recent example that we were actually talking about before was with our CRM team. So they like to, they're sending out email campaigns to however many millions of people. They want to know how it's performing. They want to know if it's doing well. And they want to know why conversion rates are basically the way that they are. And we developed basically through KPI boards in connection with newsletters and all kinds of other metrics that we could use, let's say discounts and how many times a coupon code was actually related. And they can see this and visualize it outside of somewhere else and just going into Google Analytics. They're coming back, they're looking through New Relic, and they're saying, hey, we have an issue today. We sent out this newsletter. This brand doesn't maybe have a lot of stock, or it's not performing well, and they're able to, in real time, make a change. And the only reason they can make that change is because we visualized something that we had in the database already, and we could see it, but which has a front-end effect. So even though we're not directly calculating conversion rate or anything like that, we can put these things together in one board for them to see and put the pieces to the puzzle together in order to make these quick and efficient changes.
So is the real-time aspect important?
Absolutely. I think, especially from an e-commerce standpoint, I mean, if you are sending out newsletters or you're trying to get people, you know when your peak times are, you know when your down times are, and if you don't react or if you have something wrong on your website, you can lose, way too much money.
Yeah.
That's also, a point when it comes to it. When we started using browser, this was our big thing. We were a trial company for a while, kind of went through the trial, and then we really started to get into using all the portions of New Relic, and it really, really helped us out because we saw with this that we could really dive even deeper into these types of things. So it's really, really awesome and amazing tool to use.
So I guess somebody just ran out to get that implemented.
Yeah. So they just ran out. They were like, I gotta do that. Yeah.
No, I mean, I like the story a lot because I think that's one of those vital examples. Yeah, I'm always happy for that if somebody shares like what kind of things they're doing. And I mean, I think the charity organization that Faiz mentioned earlier about this one day where they're raising all the money, and luckily e-commerce is not that terrible, but I'm not sure if it's much better. Yeah, I think the moment is very, very critical. From the other panelists, any other examples that not necessarily go into that, but obviously, yeah, that would be great, or where you feel like, okay, this is something great we've done with New Relic?
Yeah, for us, the change, and because before we had New Relic in the mobile apps, we could only react when crashes did happen. So that means you reacted when the bad thing was already in place. The users complained, they had issues, they were really unhappy.
When the tweets were out.
And now it's so that if you set all your alertings correct, you will notice an error before actually most of the users see these errors. Then you can dive in, check things, repair the things. So way better for us than just reacting. Now we do things beforehand before it comes to hard to fix.
You feel in control.
Yeah, we're in control. That's the right term.
Okay, nice. Matthias, any examples? I know you're early in the day, so.
Yes, there are still some things we can do and configure within Relic. One thing we did is in the past we had some performance issues with our CMS we're using, which is a proprietary closed source software, and not only that, the software is also digitally signed, so that means APM's bytecode instrumentation does not work there. But we still wanted to have some insights into what our CMS is doing, because sometimes editors were reporting some freezes, some lags in the publication of content, and for us, or for them, no, for all of us, the publication times are very, very important. I mean, after a match is done, you want that article about the match out, and we cannot pat each other on the back if it's 1 hour later. Even though for an engineer that's great, you fixed something. I mean, we heard from your response team, what, like 8 hours your outage? Not so good after a 90 minutes match.
Yeah.
But what we did is the CMS provided us with, so it has a JMX interface, and we created a little piece of software that just grabs or pulls certain metrics from the CMS and throws them into Insights dashboards. And so now we can have a look in real time at user sessions, at calculation rates in the CMS, other like the memory and database connection, other things. And we were really happy when a couple of weeks ago you published the Oracle-based alerting, which we implemented the same day. And we're using that now.
Okay,
cool.
Nice.
We did that as well and had way too many alerts.
Yeah.
we had a couple people calling us, hey, when is it actually GA? Can you hurry up, guys? Yeah,
I was literally doing it, I think, 7 a.m. in the morning when you announced it.
No, good to hear. I mean, it's great to hear that actually those things that we produce are so much in need. Yeah, that's good. Maybe an example from you, like something exciting. Especially from a day one user. I mean, I guess you have a ton of stories.
Actually, for me, it's really the bigger picture, actually, of actually kind of helping people understand the importance of performance monitoring, and of actually like looking at engineering end to end. So not just taking code, throwing it over the wall and hoping it works, but actually having a better understanding and clearer understanding of what's happening at scale. And this is especially important when you have some engineers in the team who actually haven't had experience at scale before, and then to have an understanding of actually this is actually, if you ship something that's erroneous, this many million customers are actually being directly affected, and you can see it and you can feel it. And I think this kind of education is extremely important, and this is probably the overriding most important thing that's come for me over the last few years with New Relic.
It's interesting you say that because obviously getting people productive is not an easy thing, especially as good developers are a scarce resource. Is that something that helps you to, remain your team on a good productive level or scale on that level as well? So would you say that saves you, I don't know, time, or you don't have to hire as quickly because maybe you can't hire as quickly as you wish for?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also about autonomy as well. So really not, having kind of engineering teams that are able to really take ownership end to end of what they're doing and not be concerned that they're going to break something that they're not aware of. So having all of these insights at your fingertips really allows you to feel strong and confident in the decisions you're making. So, yeah.
I think an interesting point to that is actually what we started to do was we noticed this as well. Of course, you can deliver things and you can monitor them, but it's more efficient to actually see it in the beginning. So use it on your development environment, use it on your stage environment, and then you actually see, yes, it's not completely like it will be on production, but you can have a much higher certainty that what you've developed is actually working. And we talked a bit about performance and page speed and things like that, and trying to keep your page speed to a consistent level when you're developing features and things like this for other departments is always complicated. And if you have this built in, you can sit down with people and go through these things and say, hey, this is the problem that we have, either as a development team or as different departments together, and try and find a way to resolve these maybe performance issues or other kinds of issues that you may be having before this even reaches production. Because once you reach production, then you could run into the problem, like what you were saying, Jessica, before, is that you see it when a crash report happens, but if you knew that this was going to happen before, you wouldn't have pushed these kinds of things out. So if you can really see them in the beginning and then do it, then you feel much more confident about actually what you can get out of it.
This is also an invaluable part of actually transitioning from a legacy system as well, and doing a lot of refactoring work. I mean, this is kind of a tool set that's in day-to-day usage.
I think that pretty perfectly matches with what Lee just said a couple minutes ago, that, hey, we're in the middle of a migration. We're going to start monitoring later. Yeah, maybe you should start a bit earlier. And nice. So from this depth of experience that you all have in software development and also working with us together, is there lessons learned where you feel like, okay, this is something either I wish I would have known when I started, or is there something where you feel like, hey, this is what you need to know once you started?
Hard to tell. I think it's more about the journey. So it's not like, lessons are learned. I think it's all about, looking through all of the different types of services. I got a hard one too. No, I'm just kidding.
One more.
Thanks.
Dry air.
Yeah, it's about the different services that are provided, testing them out, going through the steps of looking into what they can provide, how they can provide solutions, in real-time format of what you can actually get from each things, how they connect together is also really something that we depend on heavily in our in our job, because we say, oh, well, now we have it in APM, cool, we're going to have this ability to show this now in insights. And that's also one of these good points where we're saying, the lesson learned is, great, we should have monitored everything from the beginning, but since we're not in that position, it's maybe to say, what can we change in our regular development process, including monitoring, that will really bring us towards the future, whether it's movement to the cloud, or whether it's monitoring all your full stack, or whatever it is. As long as you can use these things and do it, then the lesson is really that you've made the right decision, maybe, to actually go in this kind of path.
Okay, nice. So people who start that journey or who start that endeavor should expect it's a journey, and they shouldn't, freak out if not everything runs perfectly in the first place.
Yes.
Okay, right. Any other thoughts? Any other?
I think it's a learning process as well. Just like you're saying, if you go into this and just go, we're going to use everything at once, then you won't see the value, and there's too many concepts to grasp, too many things to learn too quickly. And I think focusing on one area, starting with it, really seeing the value in it, and then progressing on is kind of the best way to look at it, actually. And as much as using the tooling, also understanding and trying to develop your mindset around it, and having a more broader view on end-to-end engineering is also a vital part of this, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I can align with both here, because I think it's journey. When you start using these tools, you get a lot of data, and you have to find the data that are really relevant to you. And we needed some months to learn basic things we did wrong, things like that we sent, I would say, 1 million unneeded requests to our backends, which we could then just discard. That we also had, we downloaded double the amount of picture data on the iOS app as on the Android app by the same size of users. And these were terabytes, we downloaded more. So there are many things you learned later. That's expected as a journey if you install these tools. You don't get this knowledge on day one, only if you have experience. But I would say it's a journey, but you will miss it if you lose it.
Okay, nice. Anything from your side, Matthias? Like as you started right now, how did the starting process go? Was it easy? Was there anything that you feel like could have been worked out better, smoother?
No, it was fairly easy. I mean, I think Lou this morning said it. I mean, it's just, first of all, it's just installing the agent or the agents, really. But then this is not the end, not by far. I mean, then you should really
like starting the engine and then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, then you should incorporate New Relic and monitoring. I mean, there's not only New Relic, there are other stuff systems where you're monitoring into your processes. And then after installing those agents, there's much configuration. I recommend that you look into some things that are still ahead of us, like tiny things like the deployment notification that you can send to New Relic. Then you know if some, I don't know, load spike is there. Man, that was directly after deployment. So let's look at the software version we released then. Like the alerts we just touched on, setting up the right dashboards and insights. You just have to try, learn, adapt, and
I guess that's again then the journey exercise.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Looking a little bit on time, I would have one question for each of you, one last one, and I picked that question up from our CEO last night. What's your favorite latest feature that we released, and why?
I can easily tell that as we're in mobile, that's the new event trail and the breadcrumbs you can now upload just to get more information about different states or hard to fix bugs. So for us as mobile users, that's awesome.
So what did that do to you? Like what changed?
What changed is that at the time when you see a crash, you don't only see what the users did before the crash happened. You also see the network requests who were sent out, faulty network requests, and why. You also can then upload data if you just upload, let's say, something breadcrumbs about specific stages or things that happened in your application. You see them mixed up with all these things, and that makes it way easier just to tell why these errors happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the resolution is much faster.
Yeah, because if you have a higher crash-free rate like we are having, it's hard to fix these remaining bugs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm. So really, I'm quite interested in the baseline alerting that you showed earlier. I think this is very good. I mean, for us, Bundesliga, obviously, it's very high and lows in terms of load on our servers. It's not only weekend and weekdays, it's only the season and off-season. Mm-hmm. Next week will be at least we already know beforehand, will be the traffic spike of the year because the fixture announcement is coming up for the next season, and we are also releasing a bunch of software updates on our site. But really, I must say I'm really looking forward to Project Seymour. Which is
okay, that's a future feature. Okay, yeah. All right.
I mean, this analogy that's been brought up today, pet and cattle. Again, at some point you have so much data and so many servers and services that are being started and shut down again. I think you need some kind of support to really understand what's going on there. You cannot do it manually just by looking at dashboards.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Rob, anything?
For us, alerting, as Julia, who's our representative, knows, we were asking for quite a while, and we had set up metrics which really helped us to get priority on certain things. So, where we could sit here and from an IT perspective and say, this is really important, this is really important, this is getting dangerous, we should do something, and to send these out. And what we actually do is we even send CEOs, we send them the alerting messages for certain things if we want to pressure it in the right direction. Yeah, and it seems
nice.
It seems like something. Yeah, it's a good way to start. They'll probably hate it after a while, but I mean, in the beginning, it's really a way to get like this. Like I said before,
stakeholder
the visibility.
management.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah,
it's a smart move. Yeah.
So how many emails does he get?
It depends on which CEO we're sending them over to, because we have 3 different companies together. But after the first week, I can tell you that they were coming to us and saying,
And ask
okay, how do I get rid of this?
How to create an Outlook rule to...
Yeah.
No.
Not even that. No. Yeah, I know. It goes SMS to phones. So we can train them in different ways, and which is really kind of nice for this alerting. But they were coming to us and saying, okay, I have to get rid of this somehow. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. So really putting the importance on these things, and really recognizing it, not just from CEO perspective.
So maybe as a tactical recommendation, so once they're blocking IT budgets or something like that, maybe the alerts increase, and you can tell them if they want the alerts to go away, they just have to sign off.
Please sign the budget plan. Here we go.
Okay, all right. Jason?
For us, it's probably the same thing, so the alerting and kind of the move also to a real full stack of product, actually, because when I started using it, as I said, it was just some of the basic server-side stuff, and now it's actually beginning to become a kind of a full business intelligence suite for everything that you need from end to end, and so alerting just being one part of that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you're saying business intelligence, because I think if you're a native digital company, then this is actually what we are, so the digital platform, so that's great. Perfect closing, actually. All right. I would like to thank the panelists for the time and all the sharing of the experience. This is really great. We will have the next session soon commencing, but I think the rest of the other group will join us shortly. So please stay seated, and thanks a lot for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really good. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.